Hey guys, Enigmatic Mr. L here. I recently made a video going over the worst Fire Emblem skills in each game, and this time I'm going to do the opposite, going over the best skills in each game. So going over the rules, obviously we're only going to be looking at Fire Emblem games that have a skill system. So the first three Fire Emblem games, Shadow Dragon Blade of Light, Gaiden, and Mystery of the Emblem are excluded. Binding Blade and Blazing Blade are excluded, as well as the Arcanea remakes on the DS, Shadow Dragon and New Mystery of the Emblem. I'm not just looking at how useful the skill is, but also how easy it is to obtain, availability, that sort of thing. So, for example, a great skill that only one unit has will probably lose to a good skill that like 10 units have. And also, personal skills, I did consider excluding them outright, since they're very strongly tied with the character themselves, but I decided to count them, but separately from the rest of the skills. With that out of the way, let's just get on with the list, starting with Genealogy of the Holy War, where I think the answer has to be Pursuit or also Follow-Up. This is the only Fire Emblem game where you need a skill in order to double, make follow-up attacks. As long as your speed is 1 or more higher than the opponent's, you'll use a double attack, but you need the Pursuit skill. And this is so meta-defining, like pairings in Genealogy of the Holy War, like determining your second generation. A big part of that is passing down Pursuits to all the units, or at least all the units that need it. Like, okay, do I make Latchis' husband Finn or Beowulf or Alec? They all give Pursuit. I could, pair up, say Jamco with Ideen. That gives good strength to Lester, but no, I'm going to go with Madir because he presses down Pursuit. That sort of thing. The Pursuit ring you get in first generation is a highly contested item. Do I give it to Noish because he has good mobility? Lewin because he has good combat? Arden makes decent use of it. Do I give it to Ethlyn so she can pass it down to Leaf? Overall, just a very good skill, like doubling your damage in most situations, unless you're fighting with a really heavy weapon like an axe. Obviously, I think best skill in the game. Thracia 776 is a much trickier example. There isn't any one skill that stands head and shoulder above the rest. I did consider choosing Paragon as the choice. That is a good skill. It's the personal skill of Homer and Sarah, as well as you get a Paragon scroll to use, and there's the Paragon sword. But in the end, I decided to go with Wrath. Unlike other iterations of Wrath in Fire Emblem games, which requires the user to be at low HP thresholds and be risky, you just have a guaranteed crit if the enemy initiates combat, which is very good. It's personal skill of Ossian makes him very good in the early game. Xavier has it, allows him to animate phase more effectively if you bother to recruit him. Brighton would just be kind of a mediocre filler unit in the Manster section, but thanks to having Wrath, he's a fine option to use long term as well. Plus, you get a Wrath scroll. I think it's Chapter 8X, and you can do something like give it to Nana, have her use the Earth Seal, which restores HP. You can just enemy phase a bunch of guys to so weaken her, then she'll kill him with a crit, restore HP. And you can just keep doing that with the Earth Sword, or you can do Nosferatu take with someone else, and just to repair the Earth Sword or Nosferatu for as long as that lasts. Overall, very good skill, always nice to have. It's a shame you can't stack it with Vantage, but will. So skipping Binding Blade and the Blazing Blade, we're left at Sacred Stones, which in my opinion, best skill. There's only a few class skills. It's a toss-up between Bishop's Slayer skill and Summoner's Summon skill. I think Slayer is good on Bishops, but the problem is the monsters you face them in Chapter 4 and X, which you're not going to have, Chapters 4 and 6, where you're not going to have any Bishops with Slayer ready. You face them again in Chapters 11 and 12, which to get there, you're either doing heavy slowdowns grind, or you're early promoting, their combat kind of suffers. And then you face the monsters in the last few chapters, but at that point, you have some legendary weapons to deal with them, and paladins and flyers, which have more mobility. They can help out a lot as well. So still good, but ultimately I decided to go with the summon skill. Even though you only get this kind of late in the game, at the chapter 15, early promote to a summoner, or if you bother to train Ewan can be a summoner, but the skill is so good, allows you to do so many various shenanigans. You can have Vulture in Chapter 15 switch from a spear to one range weapon, then just attack him from afar and dance or rescue away. Chapter 16 can draw fire away from some of the siege tomes. Chapter 18 can help you kill the eggs, and then in in-game. It can help you draw fire away from some of the siege tome monsters as well. Just so many cool things you can do with this. It's kind of a shame that it hasn't been brought back since. Path of Radiance was a very tricky one, as there are a lot of good skills, but they're kind of limited in availability. Astrid's Paragon skill allows her to snowball effectively, but she's the only one that has it besides Joffrey, who joins fairly late into the game to make good use of it. There is the Celerity skill of Tormod, but it's locked to him. +2 movement would be nice on a lot of other units. And of course, Tana's Reinforced skill is really good, but she's the only one who has it. And of course, there's the infamous Wrath Resolve combination, but barring Tyronio, the only characters that can make use of that combination are in like the last 2 chapters, and it requires 2 skills to really get the full effectiveness of it. Ultimately, I decided to go with Soul, which is one of like the occult skills, like mastery skills of promoted classes, particularly paladins. You only get a few like occult scrolls in the game, but paladins I think are a very good option for it. One, because paladins in general are really good. Oscar, Kyrian, Astrid, and Makalov, you've decided to invest in them. And even though Titania somewhat falls off like halfway through the game, she's still useful. I think this is a particularly good skill because unlike some others like Luna or something like that, we can end up like suffering from success. You're not going to have that problem here. It's not reliable in the sense that it's going to guarantee your survival. You want to rely on it for that, but it can help like free up an action slot. If you like attack an enemy, they attack you and you take damage, and in your follow-up attack you get soul to knock them out, or just enemy phase and you take soul. It can free up your player phase action instead of having to use like a vulnerary or something. You can just go straight into like attacking. So fairly good skill on a great class. That's why I chose soul here. Radiant Dawn, this one might be a kind of hot take. There are a lot of good skills, and now Radiant Dawn, you can take them off and give them to someone else, like Tormod Celerity, take it off, give it to like Har or something. You also have like Pass, Savior, which are good skills, don't get me wrong, they're not particularly plentiful. I decided to go with Nihil, and all it does is negate the foe's combat skills, but this is particularly useful, like when you get to like the tower. It's a good thing Ike has this when he promotes into his Vanguard class, helps protect him against, Eclipse from the Black Knight, and especially when you get to the final chapter, the like Auroras, the like final boss summons will like deal the damage you deal them back to you. But if you have Nihil, that negates that entirely. Just very useful. You want to get like some of your best units Nihil so they can like safely wear down the Auroras and someone else like finish them off. So that's why I went with Nihil here. So skipping Shadow Dragon, a new mystery of the emblem, we're at Awakening. I decided to go with Gale Force, an extremely overpowered skill. I did consider going with something else because it is a bit of a grind to get it. You Dark Flyers unlock the skill at level 15, so it's a little bit out of the way. So outside of like heavy grinding, usually the only units that are going to get this are like Sumia, Cordelia, and whoever you reclass into a Pegasus Knight. But I still think it's really good. When it comes to pairings in Fire Emblem Awakening, this is kind of like the Pursuit of that generation, where it's like, okay, make sure you pass down like Pursuit as like the one skill's mother, or Gaius and Donald or Male Robin want to marry Tharja or Noe so their daughter can get Gale Force, that sort of thing. Just initiating combat, being able to act again is so good, especially with Awaken's broken pair-up system. You move, attack, kill enemy, move again, switch, activate Gale Force again, then move again. You can end up just like clearing out entire maps in like 1 or 2 turns if you get enough Gale Force users, which granted that requires a lot of grinding, but even if you just have like 2 or 3 and you don't go too out of your way to grinding, the skill is like so powerful that despite the kind of effort it takes to get there, I think it earns a spot as Awakening's best skill. For Fire Emblem Fates, I went with Lock Touch. There are a lot of maps, especially like in Conquest, that don't give you like chest keys or like enough chest keys, and this is a good source of like gold and other items. Like you can get like a rescue staff in Chapter 9. I think you do get a chest key in that one if you forego Azora's Bronze Lance, which rescue staff is definitely better there, obviously. But also like in Fuga's Wild Ride, you can get the other rescue staff. Just get some useful items, and if nothing else, like even if it's just something useless like the Vengeful Naginata, you can just sell it for like 5,000 gold. Plus, it just helps that 2 of the users of it, Kaze and Niles, are really good units you're going to be using anyway. They have this at skill by default, so you're definitely going to be getting the most out of it. this skill. Speaking of Niles, I think his personal skill, Kidnap, is the best personal skill in the game. Orochi does have something similar in Capture, but in Birthright, there aren't really a lot of enemies with like skills, that sort of thing. Can be useful here and there, like Capture in general, in like chapter, like, was it 12 or something, the map with like Garen, to get like an enemy with like really high defense. But in general, Niles allows you to capture like the chapter 9 boss that has like rally defense, chapter 14 boss with his like unique skill set, the boss of the Paralog and Soleil's map that has like I think Pass and Soul, Gazak and Forest's Paralog. You can capture all those units that have like certain skills, and of course can't talk about like capture mechanic without mentioning Rally Man, that Master of Arms you get in like chapter 23 with all the rally skills. So good. So that's why I think Fate's best personal skills is definitely Niles. And Niles is Kidnap. For Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia, if we were counting combat arts, it would definitely be Hunter's Volley, but I consider those a separate thing. I decided to go with just Recovery, which might seem a little mundane. Like in most other Fire Emblem games, just passive healing at the start of turns. That's nice. It's beneficial, but it's nothing too like meta-defining. But here in Echoes, where mages cast part of their HP use part of their HP in order to cast spells, this really helps them keep them topped off without getting their HP too dangerous low. Like, really, when I play Shadows of Valentia, I try to give like a prayer ring, a coral ring, or even just a standard blessed ring to all of my mages. And even just beyond like mages, saints, that sort of thing, just your other units like combat arts, this can be helpful there to help them just help with like, also can help them like poison swamps, that sort of thing. But in general, really helps with the magic users. For Fire Emblem Three Houses, I went with Hit plus 20, which is the class mastery skill of the Archer class line. Granted, this is mostly talking about Fire Emblem Maddening mode, which was my most recent playthrough of Three Houses. In hard mode, you're probably going to be hitting the enemy just fine, but in Maddening mode, you reach a point where your problem isn't dealing enough damage to the enemy, it's actually hitting them and granting like hit plus 20. You're basically want to be wanting this on all of your physical units. The only units you're not going to want to have this are like magic units, because especially if you have the paid DLC, they can just go into like Valkyrie class, get Uncanny Blow, which is plus 30 hit, only on player phase, but generally your magic units, they're squishy. They're not going to be enemy phasing. Well, really anyone not named Dimitri is going to be doing much enemy phasing. But besides them, like all of your physical units are going to want hit 20 and maybe like a healer or a like dancer. But otherwise, this skill allows so much more reliability and really saves like your turn roll uses from just like an unlucky miss. Best personal skill in the game, I decided to go with Violet's Professor's Guidance. It gets upgraded to Professor's Guidance Plus at the end of like chapter 10. Granting bonus experience yourself is good, but also granting that on top of any adjacent units, whether healing, attacking, that sort of thing, is very good. Again, especially in Maddening mode where experience is so slim. There are some other good personal skills here, like Veins is good in the early game, your like female units. Lysithea just doubling like class mastery skills, like that sort of thing is really good, but that really only benefits her. Professor's Guidance benefits a multitude of units. For Engage, I decided to go with Cantor, which you can inherit from Sigurd. This skill is so good that I think there's a big difference between characters that join before or after chapter 10, because Sigurd leaves at the end of chapter 10 and doesn't join again until the end of chapter 17. There's a long time period where your users can't inherit Cantor. So it's, well, this character might be bad, or might be like so-so, but hey, at least you can get Cantor earlier than other these like units like Kagetsu, Zelkov, Ivy, that sort of thing. And then by the time Sigurd joins, it's definitely worth it to just inherit Cantor on all of your units. It's so powerful. It's like once you get a taste of it, I know you can inherit 2 skills on every unit, but it might as well just be Cantor and one other skill. Because once you get a taste of it, there's like, it's really difficult to go back. The skill is like movement is so powerful, and just Fire Emblem in general, like Kanto has always been powerful in just paladins, but giving it a version of it to every unit is so good. And in terms of personal skills, I decided to again go with take after the protagonist, giving his or hers divinely inspiring skill, which is plus 3 true damage dealt 5 Jason outs, and -1 damage taken. So it's true damage. So even if the enemy has like really high defense, like 40 or so, you know, have like 2 or 3 attack, you will always deal at minimum 3 damage. And this can help you meet like certain thresholds to deal just enough. Really helps with Alear as like a personal support unit. And also just works really well because since Alear can support with every unit in the game, and support bonuses only work on adjacent allies, in addition to getting just this +3 damage dealt, -1 damage, you'll also have whatever sort of support stacks as well. So very good to just keep Alear near your army. If nothing else, near other units in your army, he's acting as a very good support utility unit. And that is my list. As always, thank you so much for watching. Any skills you think I overrated, please feel free to let me know why. Any skills you think I didn't mention that deserve like a shout out, please also let me know. This is Enigmatic Mr. L, signing out.